Welcome to Gospel Greetings number 77. Last week we talked about humility from 1 Peter 5, 4-6, which say, when the chief shepherd appears, you will receive the crown of glory that will never fade away. All of you clothe yourselves with humility toward one another, because God opposes the proud but gives grace to the humble. Humble yourselves, therefore, under God's mighty hand, that he may lift you up in due time. We discussed 3 reasons why we should clothe ourselves in humility, then listed 6 ways to overcome pride from a John Piper sermon. This week, we'll begin a few weeks of speaking about our call. The first week is from Ephesians 4, 1-3, which says, as a prisoner for the Lord, then I urge you to live a life worthy of the calling you have received. So be completely humble and gentle, be patient, bearing with one another in love, keeping the unity of the Spirit through the bond of peace. Now, we're going to be spending a couple of weeks on calling. Why? Well, there's more confusion, more ambiguity, and more loss of purpose at this time than in recent memory. Everything seems to have been turned upside down. Calling answers the great why question, and that's exactly why we will be discussing it. To explore your purpose, your raison d'etre. A person who has thought through this issue and written clearly on it is Os Guinness. I will be using some definitions and general ideas from his book named The Call. Here is Os Guinness's definition of calling. Calling is the truth that God calls us to himself so decisively that everything we are, everything we do, everything we have is invested with a special devotion and dynamism lived out as a response to his summons and service. Now, that's a very comprehensive definition, but he kind of breaks it down into 2 types of calling. The first is what we'd call the primary call of all believers. It's a synonym for salvation, where God calls people to himself as followers of Christ. Then, as the body of Jesus followers as a whole, we're the community of the called out ones, or ecclesia, the Greek word for congregation. Those who are called by God are chosen by him, and then we choose him and are justified, sanctified, and later glorified. So the primary call is synonymous for salvation itself. That's why a common description for disciples of Jesus isn't just a Christian, but a follower of the way. There's an eternal aspect to this call that places us with Jesus in the eternal realm. The famous author Alexis de Tocqueville says the final aim of life is placed beyond life, beyond where we are. Look at Ephesians 4:1. Live a life worthy of the calling you have received. Paul is speaking about this primary call to all believers have had to follow Christ and be saved. And this is what the Westminster Catechism speaks about in its first statement, which reads, what is the chief end of man? And it says, man's chief end is to glorify God and enjoy him forever. You see, until you get this primary or general call right, no amount of soul searching will provide the purpose you are looking for. You will be driven to unhealthy extremes. You'll be looking for love in all the wrong places. So your primary call is being called to salvation. In the next couple of weeks, we'll continue looking at the primary and secondary call. Bless you and have a great week.